Hey, mister! You got a minute? I need to ask you something. You Zachariah Mancer? You are, aren't you? You're helping out the merchant prince, right?
I guess. Yeah, what's going on?
I don't. My partner died a few days ago. Got sick, just all of a sudden. A lot of folks catching it, but no one cares none because it's only killing refugees. They don't care about us or what's causing it. They don't care that we all seem to be catching it. Sick and dead everywhere, everywhere. No remedy or nothing. Only one who seems to care or help is that preacher's son. But he can't heal everyone. He's just one fella.
Preacher's son healing the sick.
Sure enough. Boy's known for performing miracles. I ain't religious, see, even less now than my heart, my soul, my love was taken. So I don't know if it's true. Just telling you what I've heard.
Miracles? Mystic or medical? Zealot or scientist? Who holds the key? Who knows? Who knows anything but this? An epidemic spreading among the refugees would have catastrophic effects. Dangerous, bizarre. I need more information. Symptoms only affecting the refugees, you say?
I don't know. It seems like, but I don't. It's why we, all the refugees, not just me, need your help. We gotta find what's causing this disease and get a cure real quick. No one around here has much, and now they're even losing their lives. You gotta help us.
I'll see what I can do. What were your wife's symptoms?
I don't know. I ain't a doctor, but a lot of stomach stuff, cramps, throwing up, just pain everywhere. She was even starting to see stuff that wasn't there. Talking crazy. It was awful.
What about everyone else who's sick?
Most are poor like us, around the neighborhood of the gates. Left the corporations with nothing. Arrived here with nothing. Now they're dying because they can't even afford a doctor.
Let me go talk to other refugees and see what I can find.
Thank you, Mr. Mancer.
Fortunately, this is beyond my skill level. Door's locked from the other side. Guess we're going around.
most exotic goods on the planet. All here, in one stall.
I just need information.
The only information I have is about my goods.
Hey, let me ask you a few questions.
Sure. Why not? What do you want to know?
You know the man beside you?
Of course. He's a friend.
How you feeling?
Well, I don't know. Fine, I guess. All things considered. I don't think I'm sick right now, but I've grown real tired looking after him. Don't sleep so well lately because of it.
What's he been up to since he came to Noctis?
Well, we haven't been here for too long now. Got no steady work and no serum. So what he'd do is the odd jobs here and there when he could find them. Same as most of the rest of us. We all sleep in here. Hang around the city the rest of the day, that's about all of it. Not much else to tell, honestly.
Think he could have eaten something that made him sick?
Maybe. I don't really know. He's been eating a lot from the community soup, I know that.
You haven't?
Well, I woulda, but first time I gone there, I got in an argument with the religious fellow that runs it. About religious things and such, you know. So, I don't go back. Not really welcome. Found other ways to stay fed.
What are his symptoms?
Stomach aches real bad. Yeah, he, has trouble, holding it in, if you know what I'm saying.
The symptoms seem to align with cholera. Worrisome. Might be the start of a terrible outbreak, but could also be foodborne, perhaps, too. Maybe from the community soup so many of them feed themselves from. Contamination, or even poison?
Well, it won't be a hard theory to test. Nearly everyone eats the community soup. Good or not, it's free. And free's all most can afford.
We need to talk to whoever's making the soup. Thank you.
Sure enough. You're welcome. Gonna take him to the preacher's son soon. Hear he's been healing folks left and right.
Hey there.
What do you want, human?
Unfortunately, this is beyond my skill level. Hi, Nisha.
Hi, Zach. Everything all right?
Could you tell me more about Noctis?
It's a wonderful city when you come from Ophir like me. You can meet people from all corporations, but especially merchants, thieves, and mercenaries. All these people were born outside a caste, for the most part. They have a different vision from us of what a city should be like, and you can feel it. For them, a city is above all a place of exchange, of rest after their travels. That's where they find refuge after a hard time. That's where they make serum or lose everything. Noctis breathes way more than Ophir ever will. It is a city where all opinions have a voice. It is a far more creative and cherished city than any other corporate city. Every citizen would be ready to fight for it. Not because we order them to do it, but because it is their refuge. And without it, they wouldn't feel at home anywhere else.
What's in the nearby canyons? Does Noctis use them?
Sure, they're mostly used to navigate from the city to the rest of the world, but also serve as a defensive hardpoint. Any enemy of Noctis would be left vulnerable while going through the layout of the canyons. I've heard that some groups have hideouts there where they store treasures. That's surely a myth. On the other hand, I know that you can find colonial ruins in poor condition there.
Could you tell me more about Noctis?
It's a wonderful... They have a different... Noctis... Not because we...
Zachariah, you look good. Better than I. As if that was hard to accomplish.
Hi.
Hi. Oh, my stomach. Oh, my stomach.
I'm trying to figure out what's making everyone sick. Can I grab a blood sample from you? It'd help a lot.
Yeah. If it helps find a cure. Take all you want. Ah!
I should be able to use this to see what's making all those people sick. Let's take a closer look at this sample. This is a sample of a sick man's blood. Can you analyze it for me?
I don't see why not. Unless it's some special sort of unanalyzable plasma, the likes I've never encountered before. Like that sandwich I ate earlier. Unlike anything I've ever... I digress. Yes, the analysis. I will get right to it. Here we go. Oh, yes. Oh, whoever gave this blood. I cannot imagine the pain he must be in with this level of arsenic. If he doesn't stop eating it, Zachariah, he will die. Tell him that. And give him a decoction of Allium Martis. A great antidote for such poisoning.
These people were poisoned. Had to be the community soup. Need to take a sample, run some tests, and find out what's in it. You work here?
Yep, I help cook.
You eat here too?
Yes, of course. But only a little. I have a weak stomach, so I don't eat everything that's offered. Why?
I'm sure you've heard about all the refugees getting sick. There's a chance it's coming from your food.
Oh, my. I couldn't imagine how. I just take what they give me and cook the dishes how I'm told. That's all. I don't add anything. So the disease must be coming from somewhere else.
Who gives you the food?
Well, I mean, it all comes from the parish donations given to the preacher's family. Real good people, you know. They can't have anything to do with it. Their son actually heals the sick, so don't go pointing the finger at them, you hear me? It ain't in the food that's making people sick, I'll tell you that.
Let's analyze this and end the mystery. Let's find out the killer ingredient in this soup. Here's a sample of the community soup the refugees are eating. Need to know if it's got arsenic in it.
I don't like soup, Zachariah. It makes me sweat when I eat it. Unless it's cold soup. And even then, I don't like it. Never trust a man who eats or makes soup. That's a fact.
Maybe you could just put that fact to test with a little science? Actual experimentation on the sample?
Fine. Just as I said. And yet another reason to hate soup. It's laced with garbage like arsenic. Who would feed such a dish to the poor, Zachariah? Tell me that.
This wasn't a disease. This was poisoning. And that soup's the source. And I doubt it's a coincidence that the source of both the soup and the antidote is the preacher's son. What the hell would possess you to poison all those refugees? What did they ever do to you to deserve that?
Have you ever been adored by people? How generous they can be when you save their lives. When they believe that you healed them, they flocked to my father's temple. Why wouldn't I have done it?
Because people died, and a lot are still suffering.
You're pathetic. Maybe so. But better to be disgusting than stupid. I knew you'd be coming around sooner or later, so I loaded up with bodyguards. Do what I'm paying you for! Kill him! Stop! No, stop! I'm rich! Everyone respects my father in Noctis. Let me live, and he will pay you all the serum you could ever want.
I'm not gonna kill you. Enough people have died already. What you're gonna do is give the antidote to every refugee you made sick, and never go within a block of that community soup again. We clear?
Yes, of course. Sure. Antidote for everyone, yeah, and I promise not to do anything like that ever again. How stupid, I swear. Thank you.
Don't thank me. I already regret not making you pay dearly.
So, you find a cure yet?
I did. Except it's an antidote, not a vaccine. You'll find stocks of the plant that will help you heal everyone in the preacher's son's neighborhood. It's all over now. Don't worry.
Thank you, Mr. Mancer. Thank you so very much.
Unfortunately, this is beyond my skill level. Hello?
Oh, hey there. Need something? Got a lot of mechanical stuff.
You're a robber, right?
Don't like that word. Don't consider myself that. I recover things people leave behind in the desert. I take nothing from nobody. Got cool things, though. Collect it, repair it, trade it.
When you say people who left stuff in the desert, you talking about settlers?
Sure. Yeah, in part. Found some settler items in the ruins, but my stock is interesting things from all over. Shadow paths, and even places pretty much in the middle of nowhere. I even found an old rover, out of commission and in bad shape, yeah? But there was some cool parts I salvaged. The driver was dead, so I figured I could make better use of it than him.
I see.
While the prince is chatting, my goods just sit there. My perishable goods.
Welcome, welcome. What's your pleasure? What are you looking for?
You, sir, just came at a fortunate time. I just stocked new merchandise. I need some information. If it's about anything you see in here, I'm happy to help. Otherwise, not sure I have what you need. Later. Please return sometime. I've always got a revolving stock of goods. Always sure to please. Hey. Hey, back. Should have remembered you. Back when we were kids, the world just revolved around you. Really? How so? I know it nearly killed you, but you were so gifted. While the rest of us worked, Technomancy just came so easy to you. It was amazing to watch.
The fact that it was easy is what cost me so much. The high I got from manipulating so much fluid was... well, you saw the result. If I talked for 1,000 years, I couldn't even touch the tip of the regret I have.
You can't blame anyone but our professors. They should have known better. How could you? They just got sucked into watching your power like the rest of us. It was hypnotic.
Too bad all that power isn't enough to let me go back in time and change it all. But I guess what's done is done.
What should I know about the Caravanserai?
It's the heart of Noctis, the home of the Merchant Prince, and the place where all the merchants' important transactions happen. That's where they decide on the trajectory of the main cargo routes throughout the planet. Historically, it's also the first place out of the corporation's reach on Mars. I like the place a lot. It's very peaceful compared to other places, and the architecture is splendid. The Merchant Prince has a taste for luxury. I could have spent 10 years there. I bet I would smile a bit more than I do now.
What can you tell me about Noctis?
It's a free enclave in a world dominated by dictatorial corporations, created by merchants in order to facilitate the exchange of goods from everywhere. It's become a place that also welcomes refugees from all walks of life. I love this city. You can find anything you want. Mercenaries, preachers, craftsmen, all kinds of merchants, princes and thieves. And don't get me started on the extensive variety of artifacts from all around the planet. It's quite mind-numbing, but it's the place where everything is possible, far from the yoke imposed by corporations.
As a merchant, you must have traveled a lot. What amazing places have you visited?
Well, when I was a kid, I lived in Ophir, a place you probably know better than me. But with Marcello, the merchant to whom I belonged, we mostly traveled to Shadowlair. He knew a number of technomancers, including renegades, and used to sell them equipment found by looters. It's an old Baroque city with dirt-poor slums. As strange as it may sound, corporations' big cities all look the same in the end, beyond the few differences they flaunt.
You've known Nisha for a while, haven't you?
Not that long. I've been on the road most of the time for the last few years, and I've run into her a couple times. I've been in Noctis for about a year now. She's a wonderful woman. Courageous, driven. She's ready to risk her life for the city. Personally, even though I love Noctis, I wouldn't do it. She's generous, too. But she has her own wounds, like all of us. She's full of anger sometimes. I think she has a few scores to settle. You know that she's from Ophir, too?
What do you think of Amelia?
But sometimes the way she speaks would make caravan drivers blush. But she's a great girl. Brave, talented. Too bad about the way abundance brainwashed her.
What do you think it's got?
Did you know I met him in Ophir when I was a kid? He was my family's doctor, but I have a feeling he's gone completely crazy since then. He was already a little strange, but now he's completely nuts. That's too bad. He's a great scientist.
Do you know Phobos well?
Well, kind of. I've run into him several times, yes. He heads a wonderful fight, and I truly hope that he succeeds. The corporations have exploited and squeezed everybody way too much, the mutants in particular. It's time for all this to stop. He's a great actor. I saw him play a simpleton with terrific aplomb, whereas he's one of the most intelligent men I know.
What do you know about the mutants?
Which ones? The ones who were locked up, mistreated, considered to be mere beasts by the corporations? Or the ones who live freely on Mars's surface?
I was thinking about the free mutants.
They're almost all former slaves, you know. In the end, there are only a few of them who were born outside the corporations. They managed to quickly build a culture to make the planet their own like no other human had done before. They don't see the Martian environment as hostile, but more as a land of countless opportunities. They're actually aware of the fact that they will never go back to Earth. It's become their home due to the circumstances. What else can I say? They're courageous, ready to fight for their brother's freedom. Some of them even want to get rid of the humans, from what I've heard, which I can understand. I respect them a lot.
You know the merchants.
Even though knowing a few individuals doesn't mean that you know the group they belong to, getting rich is their main focus. And some of them behave like assholes to get what they want. But this doesn't apply to all of them. Most of them are intelligent, opportunistic, and pragmatic. But they're also more open-minded than the corporation citizens. Your job, origin, even being a mutant doesn't matter, as long as you bring them business.
You have it in for them, the Technomancers, don't you?
It's true. I must say that they didn't put their best foot forward last time I saw them. All they managed to do was hide their inability at the price of my enslavement. I love technomancy, and this extraordinary feeling of freedom and power it gives you. But those who practice it for the corporations have a real issue. Whether it be for Abundance or Aurora, they can't help hiding ridiculous things, twisted rituals, and keeping a people they despise out of their little schemes.
Maybe there's a reason for it, don't you think?
You probably know better than me, but it doesn't make them look nice.
What can you tell me about the people of Noctis?
We're free to say anything and everything. You still think way too much like a member of Abundance, where the population pretty much has the same opinion. Here, people come from everywhere. Most of them used to be misfits, criminals, or simply eccentrics who didn't fit in back home. You find merchants, the offspring of the city's founders, hitmen from Aurora, dissenting workers from Abundance, or beggars from Alliance. And mutants, of course. This mix sometimes creates problems and tensions, but as long as everybody works together to protect Noctis, all is well.
You wanted to see me?
Yes. I apologize once again for having to play this role in front of you, but the situation was a difficult one, and I could not risk blowing my cover.
I understand. You're one of Dandolo's spies, too?
No, I work for my people, even if Dandolo was a precious ally. I was in Ophir to plan an escape, but it was not exactly what I wanted to tell you about. I would like to offer you my services.
You're also a mercenary?
No, I am not interested in serum. And a Technomancer ally, yes. It is rare for mutants to know someone with your talents. So if you need a hand or any information, you know where to find me. And maybe I will ask for your services once in a while.
All right. What really happened with your mother? I must say I didn't understand much. That stone? The police's arrival?
My mother was helping me as much as she could to carry out my mission. She would provide me with information, sometimes hide mutants on the run before they could leave the city. She was a wonderful woman, Zach, but someone turned her in. Fiorello heard and raced to get me out with your aid. Though how I yearned to save her, to get to the slums to warn her. But I knew I could not. You, though, could. The stone was a token of recognition. She knew what it meant. If she was turned in, she had to leave as soon as possible. And if she couldn't, the drawing was made with an ink made of jellyfish venom.
But why give her that poison?
I didn't want her to die, Zach. I loved my mother. But I knew what the ASC would do to her in their jail. If they caught her, she needed a way to avoid being tortured.
When did you discover that you were a mutant?
The first symptoms of mutation appeared when I was very young. I must say that I can't really remember very well. My mother noticed them, and she taught me how to hide the marks, even though I think that I didn't know what it meant. She was hoping to keep me close to her, but as soon as the first marks appeared on my face, they spotted me out right away. I will never forget my arrest, how violent they were toward my mother. I was just a kid. I was sent to one of the farms on the outskirts of town. That's where I learned what it meant to be a mutant.
What's the Mutant Nation? You created it, right?
It is a little overblown, but I was one of its founders, among many others. Of course, other mutants were living outside the city as runaway slaves, hidden here and there, stealing whatever they could find in order to survive. A small community had settled in Noctis and benefited from the hospitality of the merchants, who allowed them to move around freely. However, we did not have any way to defend ourselves or plan a future. We were all spread out. A few of us decided to get together. We found a place, a very unique one, and we soon started doing it up, bringing in equipment and erecting houses. As for me, I especially wanted to free as many brothers and sisters as possible. So I went back to Ophir, and I realized that nobody cared about mutants, especially if they didn't look very smart. I began to help dozens of them escape. And our nation soon began to grow. There are a lot of us now, and I hope that all mutants will be able to live there someday.
What does Noctis represent for you?
It is the city of our allies. Without it, Mutant Valley would have probably never come into existence, even if some of them think the opposite. This town is welcomed and still welcomes many runaway mutants. Here they can free themselves from the servile state they were in. Noctis is somehow the freedom school for many of them. Of course, it remains a human city, and segregation is sometimes present even if it is not official. And I don't completely agree with Dandolo's decisions, but overall it is a place that I love that boasts of mixing everyone together, of bringing all philosophies into dialogue with each other, and of welcoming the hopeless.
What do you think of Amelia?
She's an interesting young and courageous woman, but abundance brainwashed her. As long as she hasn't completely cut ties with the corporation, she will remain wary of everything, of anything foreign. I think that she has some pity for us mutants. That's more generous than what humans usually give us, but we don't need pity. We are a new people, not a gang of monsters regretting who they were. Maybe she will come to realize this. She is not stupid, and when it comes down to it, She has a thirst for freedom despite all the brainwashing she went through.
What can you tell me about Andrew?
He is a hurt man. He hides his suffering under a cynical and detached attitude. But he lost way more than his arm, even if I do not know what it is. If you could help him heal his wounds and become what he ought to become, you will discover without a doubt that he is a very giving friend. And maybe he will be less bitter.
What do you think of Nisha?
She's an unusual woman, Zach. She was locked up, tortured when she was a child. She managed to get out of the situation, and despite what she went through, she went back to Ophir under a false identity. Believe me, you have to be strong to do that. She is the best possible spy. She helps us as much as she can by providing us with vital information on the slave transfers so that we can go free them. And I know that Dandolo respects her a lot. But watch out. She is far from being the sweet and smiling young woman you met in Ophir. She is brilliant, generous, and she can also be merciless.
What do you think of Scott?
He's a great scientist, most likely a very good doctor.
Is that it?
Something bothers me about him, Zachariah. No doubt he appreciates you a lot. I learned that he went through a hard time, but I have a feeling that his sweet eccentricity is hiding something. But I don't know what, therefore I won't say anything else.
Can't go through here.
Hi, Zach. How are you?
Hello, Amelia. I'm fine, thanks. What do you think of Phobos?
I don't really know what to think of him. He must have had a horrible life. He's a mutant, and we all know how they are treated. And you know, that liberation story, that mutant nation thing and all, freaks me out a little. He's very smart, however. I sometimes even have the feeling that he can guess what we're thinking.
What do you think of Nisha?
She's stuck up. She was pretending to be a princess in Ophir. Here, she's the boss. Like, I've got a lot of experience, and you don't know anything. Pisses me off. And she seems to forget that she wouldn't have gotten out of Ophir or gone on trips without me.
What do you think of Andrew?
Besides the fact that he still has to fucking square it with abundance, he isn't too bad. Street smart, and his being a smuggler gives him an edge. But he isn't into me, and I'm not into pining over a guy who doesn't bother to look at me anyway.
What do you think of Scott? You know him well.
Know him well? That's an exaggeration. He doesn't actually say much about himself. Most of the time, he's on his own planet, and before he gets back down to Mars, well, we lose radio communication. He's nice. He regularly checks in to see how I am. He used to bring me gifts when I was young, but he can't help commenting on the chances I take and all. It pisses me off. I like him, but he's not my father, I mean.
You must have traveled a lot. Could you tell me more about what you discovered?
You know, when I'm being sent out to explore, it's for prospecting. I drive around, take samples, map out the area, that kind of thing. I discovered 2 mines last year. We'll put them into service once we connect them with the shadow paths. Wow, it doesn't sound as exciting now that I think about it. But I don't care. Despite all of this, I can go almost anywhere. I see landscapes that others will never see, and sometimes I stumble across amazing places. I'm not doomed to remain under a shell of metal.
Tell me more about you growing up.
What's there to say? I was a ward of the state in Abundance's centers. It was lonely and, you know, the other kids were assholes, but I gotta tell you, those times my dad returned from his missions, and I got to see him, best times of my life.
Wait, what? I thought the reason you'd been placed in a center was that your dad disappeared.
Who the hell told you that? No, I was real young when they took me away. My parents were always off on missions, and someone had to take care of me, you know? I don't even remember living with them. Honestly, I don't want to talk about it.
Sure. Sorry. Yeah. Of course. Besides your rovers, what else makes you happy here, Amelia?
Nature. Not the bugs or animals and stuff, but the landscapes, you know? Sunsets, mountains scraping the sky, red water trickling down the hills in the spring, gray lichen floating in the morning breeze. Back in Ophir, I used to take the rover out before sunrise just to take it all in. Always managed to put things in perspective, you know? How small we all are.
Amelia the poet philosopher. Who'd have thought it?
Why you gotta be a smartass?
Aha, I'm not. Just never saw that side of you. The passion. Makes me want to take a rover out before dawn tomorrow.
Well, let's go together. I've always wanted to share it with someone.
Are you seeing anyone at the moment?
What, you mean a boyfriend? No, not right now. You applying for the position?
I mean...
Look at your face! You can't even come up with something to say. Listen, you don't look half bad, soldier. Won't take too much for me to cuddle up with you at night.
Repent! We won't have access to the Blue Paradise so long as we are not all absolved of our sins. You came here to wash your soul?
I had something else in mind. Could you tell me more about your sect?
I can talk about it for hours, even days.
A few minutes should be enough.
All right. How can I sum up faith? All the truth contained in this world in a few words. I have to bring myself down to my followers' level. I'll skip the beginning of the story. Let's start with the settlers' arrival. So the settlers had challenged Sun by coming to this planet, by leaving heaven to come down to this hell. So he decided to destroy every source of life on Mars. His wrath was terrible. He unleashed a cataclysm that engulfed the world in a dust cloud. He probably would have wiped out every one of us if his son hadn't taken mercy on us and bestowed the blessing of his shadow. And it is in that shadow where the real men stayed, whereas the others, who thought they could withstand the Lord's vengeful eye, saw their features change forever. They became beasts and lost their soul. Today, we endlessly beg the Lord to reconcile with his Son and agree to live in harmony with us, that his eye becomes tender again and no longer burns.
I think I've heard enough. Everyone knows that story. I was hoping there might be something different, but no. I'm looking for some work. Would you happen to have anything for me?
It is the Shadow who has sent you. I am looking for new worship objects for my followers, and there are relics, benign traces of those who used to live in the canyons around the city, in the ruins of splendid cities. I would have gone there myself on my knees as if it were a holy pilgrimage, but that horrible place is teeming with disgusting creatures and ruthless thieves.
You want me to get the relics for you, then? All right, I'll see what I can do. Even though I have some doubts regarding those splendid cities. Only a few dwellings there.
Sorry, pal, can't go through. Priest ordered us to let no one through.
no one includes you.
Hi, Nisha.
Hi, Zach. Everything all right?
Fortunately, this is beyond my skill level.
Please, please, some serum to spare?
Where are you from?
Well, from Abundance, like you, of course. Best corporation of them all.
Doesn't sound like you are.
Maybe you're right. Probably you're right. Fine. Sure. I'm from the Junction Complex in Alliance.
So why'd you lie?
People like to help those like themselves. Renegades. Runaways. They all may become something else in life. But you always care about where you came from, even if they don't care about you anymore.
As expected, I knew that these ruins were just small dwellings, and that these relics are not the ones that'll be of good use to us technomancers, just everyday items used by the settlers. However, they have a significant religious value. I wonder if I should keep them. It could turn out to be useful. Unfortunately, this is beyond my skill level.
Unfortunately, this is beyond my skill level.
Repent! We won't have access to the Blue Paradise so long as we are not all absolved of our sins. You came here to wash your soul?
I had something else in mind. I think I found all the relics in the canyon.
Even if you were willing to give them to me out of charity, I would be ready to pay for them. We had a number of donations recently.
Here, you've got them all.
Praised be the shadow. Each one of these objects takes us closer to the great reconciliation. May you be blessed. I will pray for you. Repent. We won't have access.
I had something.
Hey, you! Yes, you! Do you have a moment? Hey, you! Yes, you! Do you have a moment?
Check the leading against me. Ah, and here comes the rare pearl, the diamond in the rough that my Nisha tells me about. Come, young man.
Zachariah. I was a lieutenant in abundance.
Then welcome to Noctis Labyrinthus, Zachariah Mancer, former lieutenant of abundance. I am Dandolo, head of this fair city.
Legendary city of the merchants. Apparently less legend than I thought. Or been told.
But hopefully as glorious as legends proclaim. Regardless, for all who come seeking asylum, it opens its arms to you and your companions. You are free to call it home. Like all who have come before you, you will honor our only request, that you make yourselves useful to our city. I'm sure your skills will place you in high demand. Noctis' first Technomancer. Exciting. You'll have all the help you need with Nisha and Lucky, who I believe you've met. We'll give you a room to get some rest. I hear your trip was quite eventful. There is something else. I would like to personally discuss my expectations of you. You hear? War between Abundance and Aurora's winding down. Aurora took Green Hope.
Just left Ophir a few hours ago and didn't hear anything about that.
That really surprise you? Your little censorship office probably hasn't decided what to do with the information yet. No. Don't look at me like that. You don't belong to Abundance anymore. The truce doesn't behoove us. During peace, the corporations become more suspicious of us and our business suffers. Our city could even be discovered, which would be catastrophic. In legend, it must remain.
What do you...
No, let me speak. Your welcome here comes at a price. I want you to attack an Aurora convoy. It's right up your alley.
And why would I do that?
I didn't finish. You will do it in Abundance uniforms, dissolving the truce. Do what you want with the soldiers, but let the civilians live. They need to be witnesses that will report back to Aurora.
So you keep the war going?
Precisely. And while you're at it, bring back the uniforms of the Aurora Technomancers you dispatch. I'm sure I'll find a use for them down the road. Another thing, much more trivial this time, I assure you. The rover you came in on, I'd like you to move it. Put it wherever you want, do whatever you want with it. Just make sure it's not in the way in the canyon. I just don't want Ophir to stumble over the machine and, as a result, find the road that leads here.
Yeah, I'll see what I can do.
Oh yes, one last thing. My spies gave me a little tidbit that might interest you. Right after your escape, the ASC arrested your Technomancer brothers. That's what you call them, right? From Ophir. Their fate's uncertain, but if I was you, I'd be worried for them. If you're worried enough to want to help them, maybe we can set up some sand sails to get you back.
And your help comes at what cost? Assuming it's not out of the kindness of your heart.
Don't be so bitter, Zachariah. Business is business, not personal. I just thought a few Technomancers on our side might be useful.
You want to attack a convoy to reignite a war? You know how many people die in those wars? How many are mutilated, taken prisoner?
Not precisely, but I think I have a clear idea of the numbers, yeah. Every battle has its purpose, Zachariah Mancer. Abundance has fought Aurora for years for more power, out of idealism that their philosophies are more righteous than Aurora's. We don't just fight the corporations because of their damned ideals. What we do for our survival, for the survival of the misfits of Mars, the rejected, the poor, the outcasts of corporations. We fight for those who find a home with us, those I promised to protect. This mission worries you, and I get that. I do. Which is why I'm not asking you to attack your old brothers in arms, but rather just carry out the same attacks you did countless times before, under different command.
I don't know how I can move the rover. Pretty damaged.
I'm sure you can find a way to move it up here. Not sure sand sails can help, but maybe you can couple it to some ostriches. Maybe your explorer friend didn't tell you, but some corporations would start a war to own such a machine. I'd repair it if I were you. Hell, sell it if you don't think you'll ever need it. I'll be honest, though. Rovers offer freedom no other transportation does. Word is, they can even reach the North and South Poles. Just something to think about.
How'd you find out about my brothers so quickly?
Well, besides the fact that your accident and eventful arrival slowed you down, my messenger sand sails make up in speed what they lack in protection. And of course, the arrests of Abundance's most powerful strike forces were worthy of dispatching agents to keep an eye on the situation. You haven't even given a thought to how this disrupts the current balance of forces, have you?
You know why they were arrested?
The official statement is that they were suspected of treason. Victor's pretext, I'm sure. He's a man who hates anything not under his control.
was probably planning this for quite a while. He didn't get what he wanted going at it indirectly, so he just took it head on. Whatever hope you have for their lives, I'd start to come to terms. They're probably being tortured for their secrets as we speak. And as soon as they give them up, they'll be executed. If you care about them...
What do you know about Aurora?
A young corporation. Aggressive, inventive, less backward than Abundance. And right now it's going through many changes. During the war, a man named Wisdom became its dowser. And because of him, Technomancers, who'd been kept from power for so long, now have quite a bit of influence, religious and political. No one knows what'll come of it, though. Only thing we know is that his alliance with the popular unions, which helped win a lot of battles, including the one over Greenhope, looks like it's become pretty fragile. And I admit I am concerned that this'll all lead to another bloodbath. It's just my concern, and I'm not always right, but I'm also rarely wrong.
What can you tell me about Abundance?
More than others, probably, because I see it all from the outside, and what I see isn't tainted by any loyalty to a mother country. Every last bit of it is harsh, from its structure to its hierarchy, and trust me, it's gonna topple one day. The administration's unending power leads to unending corruption, which keeps the Vori fed and keeps the control where it is. The plan is to stifle any bright young things in the corporation that might hope for promotion. Zachariah, we have two possible outcomes. One, Victor seizes power, Abundance survives, and crushes its own citizens beneath its boots. Or two, Abundance finds a way to evolve and liberate itself from its current ways of thinking. The type of regime there now, though, can only survive with an equally powerful leader. Something Victor understands.
I see your mutants walk around free here. They welcome, too?
And why wouldn't they be? They're the future of our planet, Zachariah. Though I'm sure that makes little sense to someone who grew up in a corporation that treats them like they are a lesser people. They work hard. They're excellent guides and artisans, perfect spies, and for me, key commercial partners for Noctis. It may be a surprise to you to learn that they hope to form a mutant nation someday, and I believe they have that right. So I've been supporting them with whatever meager means at my disposal.
What are your thoughts on the ASC?
The cornerstone of Victor's dubious ascent to power. You want to deal with Abundance, you need to go through the ASC.
You think Victor's out to control Abundance?
Out to? No, he already does. Didn't your Technomancer friend's arrest prove that? A dowser to boot. Dowsers, the Assembly, whoever, all pawns to be sacrificed, or puppets to be manipulated in his games of blackmail, played with the secrets he's collected on everyone. He's brilliant, merciless, a master manipulator who's turned nearly every citizen into one of his agents. All without raising suspicion. Most in Abundance work for ASC ambitions, while those who don't will soon disappear.
What's the word on Anton Rogue?
A bastard like no other. My worst enemy and biggest threat. I've done my damnedest to make sure my existence, like this city, is little more than a vague rumor. Anton Rogue, though, knows damn well that me and this city are real. Just doesn't know where to find us. At least I hope not. He's big business competition, hopes to push the power of his organization into every corporation. And what better way for him to do it than through us? I do what I can to prevent him from reaching us, but he's not a man who quits till he gets what he wants.
Then why even try to stop him? It's just business, right?
True enough. But his methods aren't good for my business, or yours. He's a product of the abundance regime, and because of that, he only knows terror and violence as his tools. I prefer, well, more tactical methods.
What can you tell me about the Caravanserai neighborhood?
It's the pulse of Noctis. The very first place built by traveling merchants, built in the recesses of the labyrinth so they'd have a place to meet, trade, rest, drop their loads. Then the city exploded as it opened itself up to all those who were homeless elsewhere. And the simple building it once was became the beautiful palace it is today. It's still the place for merchants to gather, trade, swap tips and news, and get some rest. It's also become the home for the merchant prince, the elected chief of all traveling merchants.
What's the Gate neighborhood?
It's the neighborhood around the city's current entrance, much less affluent than the heart of the city, and it keeps growing and getting better. Usually the first place newcomers tend to plant their roots. They'll go and dig or build their house where they can find space. A damn lively area, eclectic, and sometimes those differences, combined with the proximity of the canyon, can make it a bit dangerous. But we do our best to keep it safe, try to find ways to bring the different communities together, rather than allow their division to fester.
Why'd you pick the canyons to build your city?
Who knows? That decision was made by people a century ago. But if you're asking my opinion, the canyons serve a dual purpose, providing transit and partial shade from the sun. I don't know if you know, but they connect us all over, even to the big cities, and they serve as natural protection, making it hard to find us without a guide. They're our shadow paths, our roof, and our ramparts, all thanks to nature.
On my way in, I saw a large area with a bunch of sailing machines.
Ah yes, the loading zone, where we store, empty, and fix our vehicles when they need it. All the merchandise that comes in gets sorted there too, before getting redirected to the various city neighborhoods. It's a rather key area for the city. Without the sand sails, we'd have a damn difficult time getting our merch out to all the cities. Of course, we can't use them everywhere, and often use other means of transport, like the Shadow Path, or ostriches. But those machines, as you call them, do the bulk of the heavy lifting. It's our fleet, and we're damn proud of it, too.
He's intelligent, but shifty. He wishes to fire up another conflict, another war. Blood, corpses, misery. Those things follow a merchant of death. We should never have left Ophir.
I would have died there, Scott. I'm sorry you had to come with me. I really am. You could have stayed, but I have to go see what Dandolo wants.
I know it sounds bad, but what do you think Abundance or Aurora would do if they found our little outcast city? Dandolo may be cruel, but in the end, he only wants what's good for Noctis.
Hey, you. Yes, you. Do you have a moment?
Hey there.
Hello, I'm Brett. And you are?
Zachariah.
A pleasure then, Zachariah. Are you a hunting enthusiast, a trapper, specialist in local species? Maybe a strong fellow like you might be a mixture of them all.
Sorry to disappoint you, but I'm none of those things.
Ah, well, my hope got the best of me. I've been looking for someone to aid in my studies. A shame. Sure you're not a hunter, or even someone who'd want to try his hand at it?
Can you tell me what's going on?
Yes, of course, of course. You see, the focus of my study is the planet's fauna, all the insects and animals brought by the settlers that have since mutated, much like our own mutants, if not in a more spectacular way. Now, I've studied the most well-known of the creatures, of course, but I have heard of much more rare specimens, which I would go to any lengths to study. It would offer great insight into the animal mutations. Anyone can admire their beauty, but what we need is to understand how they came to be what they are. We need to study their anatomy, but they are, of course, rather dangerous.
So you need a hunter to find them and bring back your specimens. I might be able to help. What are you after?
Well, there is so much. There's a black mole and a shield toad. Also a locust I've named Locusta tempestatus, or more colorfully, the storm locust. It's been spotted in the tunnels beneath Ophir.
What can you tell me about the storm locust?
Locusta tempestatus. Well, very little but what has been told to me, actually. It is a creature, by all word, that seems to feed on electrical sources. Looks like an ordinary locust, which we know also shares the taste for electricity, but it's much larger. Perhaps its purportedly massive thirst for electricity is simply in proportion to its size? I don't know, but I'm hungry to find out.
What do you know about the black mole, besides the fact that it's black?
Well, its name is somewhat of a misnomer. It isn't really black. Darker than the others for sure, but not black. Its skin, though, seems to sweat venom. Wonderful, isn't it? Imagine. What a wonderful defense.
Yeah, wonderful. Always dreamed of catching poisonous moles.
Isn't it fascinating? A beautiful scientific mystery.
Already expecting the worst, but, why is it called the shield toad?
Those who have had the rare opportunity to see this beautiful creature say its skin is nearly armor-like. In fact, nothing seems to be able to pierce it. No arrows, not even conventional weapons. The hunters take their best shot, but always run away terrified. Delicate little things humans are, but there has to be an explanation for this extraordinary mutation, and I must find it.
Hey, there you are. Your meeting go well.
As well as hoped. Thanks.
Then let's get down to business. You know who I am. You know my past. You know what little I have left. What are you gonna do about it now is the question. You gonna use what you can against me? Or let me carry on with the small life I've managed to build?
What happened that day?
I had a surge. A big one. One even the Masters never saw coming, literally. Before they even knew what was happening, I electrified everyone and everything around me. It screamed like thunder from my body, before the ceiling itself finally collapsed in on me. I woke up in the infirmary without an arm, surrounded by all those powerful Masters who stood there shaken, whispering, their eyes still filled with fear. Then everything went dark again, and I woke up in a sand sail.
Why aren't you with your family?
Right, my family. They were small-time merchants. I'm sure real proud their son was gifted with technomancy and was joining the school. But they were also scared as shit of me for the same reason. We're all scared of what we don't understand. It's why so many fear us both. Not that I'm sure any of the masters even asked them to take me back. It was more important to them that I disappear for good, to hide what happened, keep the illusion of their infallibility intact. Also, to hide the fact they had people among them who had the power to take down entire buildings. No, I had to go. In some ways, they even did me a favor.
And you never tried to reconnect with them? Even after you got free?
No, I looked for him. Even tracked down my father. He was just this old man. Didn't even recognize me. And if he did, he'd probably just hate me for what I've become. A crippled outcast. Not something you'd put your pride in. So I let it lie. Just walked away.
What about your gift? I thought people died if they didn't use their fluid.
It's a myth. There are rogue technomancers out there. Not a lot, but a few. They know how to control their fluid surges. Probably the only thing that piece of shit Marcello could take credit for. He introduced me to one of those guys, and after that, I learned to control it the hard way. The irony, no? I'll never be a technomancer now, but I control the fluid better than any of Abundance's masters. Not for power, just to make sure my own brain doesn't fry.
What have you been up to since you left?
What have I done? Well, after spending 10 years of my life as a slave trying to pay that piece of shit Marcello back for what he called my debts, traveled in his luggage hold, did his dirty jobs, whatever he needed to get his business going. Carried crates, drove sand sales, shoveled sand, ran errands, but mostly just picked his customers' pockets. I traveled a lot, though, if I'm going to find any silver lining in it, and have earned my damn place here in Noctis. Even if the price of that has been rarely sleeping in a real bed or reading a book that wasn't about accounting.
I want to help you. What can I do?
Some things can't be healed, Rogue. Like that scar across your face. I'm guessing you got it the day I lost everything. And was reduced to a sad, broken, armless shadow of what I might have been.
Some things can't be healed, but most can be mended, friend. Let me ask around. It might be a long shot, but maybe you'll find a new reason to call yourself lucky again. We'll find someone who can lead you back to your gifts. I promise.
I may be bitter, but I'm no less grateful. Thank you, Zachariah. A little show of kindness goes a long way.
Zach, perfect timing. You remember Abby Goodman, friend of mine you helped before?
Yeah, of course. Is she really your friend, or all just part of the cover you had going on?
No, no, she is. She's a spy for Noctis too, though. She's actually been working on something for me and finally managed to get some info I'd been trying to get.
What information was that?
I spent a part of my life in a rehabilitation camp after my arrest in Ophir. It was the worst time of my existence, and I've always wondered how I'd ended up here. Who had turned us in? We were just a group of street kids. We would steal food here and there, but we weren't dangerous. However, we were arrested and deported to a camp like hardened criminals or terrorists. What happened followed me for many years, until I learned that an important member of the Vori clique was responsible for the deportation of dozens of people. Most of them were innocent, but a nuisance for the mob. I want to find that guy. I want to know if it's he who got us deported. I want to understand why and make him pay. For me and my companions, of course, but also for those poor people who hadn't asked for anything.
I'm sorry, but I can't come with you right now.
I see.
Hey there.
What do you want, human?
I took the rover all the way down into the canyon. Unfortunately, that's where I hit a wild ostrich, and now the thing won't drive. Heard you might be able to help get it back here.
And why exactly would we want to help you? We who are just monsters to you and your kind, even here. One of us was just lynched. And what did your kind do about it? Nothing. And when we are sick, what one of you would help us even in fair exchange for serum? Why then, answer me, would we help you now?
You said there was a lynching. Tell me about it. Maybe I could help.
The last time a man helped a mutant, it was only to bring a chair to help him reach the noose. And those that didn't participate watched and did nothing.
Who were these men?
It was those crazy religious zealots who hate us. Believe we have no souls. If we want the prince to do something, we need evidence. Same goes for handling it ourselves. But all we have is the body of our brother. We won't punish an innocent. We are not like them.
Not all humans are like that. Maybe I'll have some better luck asking around. I'll look into it. Hey there.
What do you want, human?
Welcome, welcome. What's your pleasure? What are you looking for?
Did you hear about that mutant who got lynched? I want to know who did it.
I see. But why do you think I would know anything about it?
You know what goes on in that neighborhood like any merchant should. And you don't think that this kind of story is bad for business? The mutants are furious. You really want them to turn the whole city upside down in order to find the culprit?
You're not wrong. I guess that we'd better turn in the culprits and be done with it. It's a gang of fanatics from the temple that lynched that poor guy. Oh, it was awful.
Why didn't you do anything then?
It was an angry crowd. I mean, I have nothing against mutants, of course, but...
A spine like a jellyfish, but it walks like a human. Thanks for the information, I guess.
Gentlemen, you are responsible for an awful crime. It's pointless to try to deny it. Several witnesses saw you. You didn't even try to be discreet.
We didn't have to hide. We're carrying out a divine mission, and nobody will prevent us from doing so. Not even you. Come on, guys! For the shadow!
by the shadow. Stop!
Yes. Yes. We killed the soulless mutant. But who cares? They gave their souls to the sun and betrayed the shadow. And their horrid forms became punishment. Why does it concern you?
Whatever your superstitions, over here, mutants are free. And believe me, when they learn that you're behind all this, I wouldn't bet that you'll get out of this alive.
No! I beseech you, don't tell them. Think about the turmoil it will create in the city, the riots. How about raising their doubts over something else? You would be rewarded.
Hey there.
What do you want, human?
Regarding the investigation you asked me to do.
Did you find anything? Who killed our brother?
Listen, you were right. It's the gang of fanatics that's behind this murder. But you shouldn't seek vengeance. I know that it's hard to hear, but you're gonna start a riot in town, and innocent people will get hurt, maybe killed.
Listen, man, you look straight, and I thank you for turning in the culprits. But when it comes to the rest, forget it. It's not your business. You're not a mutant. We're gonna make those scumbags pay, and that's that. Your help has been appreciated. And I see that there are exceptions to the selfishness that pervades most of your kind. We will get your vehicle, but it will take some time. We can only work at night, and the ostriches will have a hard time with such a large machine. We should have it back within 12 hours for you. I can imagine that you're surprised to see so many mutants moving freely around here. I know that it's not the case in Ophir, but their life isn't easy here. Racism, segregation. I am so grateful I'm not a mutant. Gotta respect their courage, though. Living with this hatred, this daily dose of contempt, seems like a giant test of character. Don't expect them to be at your beck and call. They'll most likely ask for something in return for their services. They are a free people here.
The most exotic goods on the planet, all here in one stall.
most exotic goods on the planet. All here in